Good evening. I'd like to reconvene the public session. Will the city attorney report on any reportable actions?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the conference with real property negotiators, there was no reportable action. On anticipated litigation, one of the matters, council voted 5-0 to allow the city attorney to move forward and obtain an inspection warrant. On the other two matters, there was no reportable action.
Thank you, Colin. We'll now have the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Bowen and the invocation by Mayor Pro Tem Grunmeyer.
Move cover. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, our person scheduled for the invocation had an emergency that he needed to attend to, so I will go ahead and take care of our invocation if you'll please join me. Lord, we come to you this evening with grateful hearts as we come into this season of Thanksgiving. We're grateful for our community and our residents and our staff that work so hard to contribute and make Norco the unique and very special place that it is to live. I know a lot of us couldn't imagine being anyplace else, and we're so grateful for what we have. Thank you for our time together. Please, again, bless staff for the hard work that they put in every day, keep our public safety folks safe, and grant us wisdom as we make decisions for our community. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Thank you, Robin. Okay, we're going to have a couple of presentations this evening. First will be the Eat Cultural Center. This is a program update by Patrick Mitchell. Good evening, Patrick. Good evening. Good to see you again. Good.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for the opportunity to come talk to you tonight. We have a pretty quick slideshow. So I was told I had 5 minutes. My wife will tell you I can't even say goodbye in 5 minutes, so I'm going to blast through this. If you guys have any questions, you can ask afterwards. So our mission is to train farmers, engage farmer families, and create community around ecologically based, socially just, and economically sustainable agriculture. We achieve that through our small farm apprenticeship program, community workshops, the farmers market, and community gatherings and events, all based around agriculture and small scale farming, livestock, all of that kind of stuff. So our small farm apprenticeship program is our flagship program. These are the 9 core agricultural areas that we teach. Last year, our program graduated 23 apprentices. It's a 10-month program. This year, starting in April, we had over 100 people enroll in the program, and currently we have about 33 that are in line to complete the program in 1 year. We have attendees from 5 counties and 35 or more cities, people coming from. So it's really put Norco on the map in terms of farmer training, small-scale agriculture. It's just been a program that continues to grow and succeed. So our incubator farm, this is the Sierra property. We call it the incubator farm because what we have done on this property is allowed graduates of our program to take on somewhere between 6,000 square feet and a quarter acre and start and operate their own farms on that property with our guidance. So it's an economic generator. It gives folks an opportunity to go through that whole process, and they can farm on this space for a period of a year or two while we help them find more long-term property to farm on. We also operate on this property a demonstration farm. So about a half acre of this is our operation, and we do research projects out there. We do a lot of different projects to demonstrate unique practices and things like that. Couple of shots. This is the demonstration farm here. We have currently there are 8 incubator farmers operating on this property. So when the county comes out to do certified producer certificates, they're like, how many farms are there here? It's always a challenge to get through that. But the property on California, thank you guys for that. We are working diligently to repay that. So we're looking at a lot of options right now on how we can start to get that loan paid off. It's 2.38 acres. We farm that as an educational farm entirely. We've got an acre of row crops. We've got a little over half acre. We run a single heifer on that property and rotational grazing practices. We've got a handful of chickens on that property. We just finished planting 50 trees in our orchard. So we've got citrus, avocado, and stone fruit all on that property. We've also got figs on that property and pomegranates. So on that property, we have the mercantile. It'll be our full-time farm stand. So selling what we grow, but also in addition to that, all of the farmers and vendors and things in our farmers market program will have an opportunity to sell from this location. So you'll be able to come in here, get fresh produce, fresh baked bread, all of that right out of the farm stand. And so we received a grant from the University of California Sustainable Agriculture Research and Education Program to build this out. So behind the center on Old Hamner, we created the Urban Farm Project with an opportunity to kind of demonstrate what very small spaces can provide, places where maybe you've only got pavement, you don't have soil to farm in, you've got to put raised beds, things like that. So we're in the process now of building out this urban farm project. So if you're going down Hamner and you look over towards the old library, you'll see that project. Aurelie is one of our staff members. She runs the incubator program. She also runs our Spanish language training program. So if you are a Spanish speaker, you can come and learn firsthand from her on that. We do a lot of community events, have a lot of community partnerships. We work with the California Farmland Trust. We work with American Farmland Trust, Community Alliance with Family Farmers, the Inland Empire, Food Systems Alliance, the Riverside Corona Resource Conservation District. So all of those organizations partner with us and do programs, training events, gatherings, things like that at one of the 3 properties that we manage. We do field trips at the demonstration and incubator farm. We probably will add that to the California property in the coming year. The Norco Farmers Market is another one of our big programs. We've grown that market. We're in our 5th year of operation on that market, and we're up to about 24 vendors now. It's grown tremendously, but it's a struggle. Getting folks to come out to that market has just been a real challenge. So we look to you guys for a little help on that. We'd love to sit down and kind of figure out what some of the next steps might be to continue to build that. It's successful until there's a change in the weather, change in the lights, and then it drops down and it takes us another month or 2 to kind of build that back up. So, you know, we we've gotten it to a place now where it's a recognized market. People know about it throughout the county. We've got farmers and vendors calling us from all over to come be a part of it. But all of our vendors are within 10 miles of this location. So it's a hyper-local market. And we want to keep it that way. We are not a certified farmers market, but we operate it as if it was. So all of the same requirements you would need to sell at a certified farmers market, we require that of our farmers and vendors as well. We do workshops every single month. Part of our agreement with you guys is 5 hours of community education a month, and I think we're probably doing 10 or 15 hours every month right now. So our workshops are extremely well attended. They sell out every single month, whether it's a compost workshop, egg handlers workshop, bird processing. I mean, all of it. There's a wait list in every workshop to be involved. So, and I think now I'm just going to kind of blast through a bunch of these, and you can see some of the workshops and what they look like. We also partner with the Corona Band of Gabrielino Indians. They are working on establishing a native food and medicine garden at the California farm. So another great educational opportunity. And over the past year, our staff has grown. So I think at the beginning of last year, we had 3. We have 4 now. So it's myself, Chris Fouché, Aurelia Lannis, and Casey Donner on our staff, and we're hoping any day now to hear on another grant that will allow us to hire another part-time person. So we'll keep growing the program, and with that, if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you.
Does council have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I got a question. Are you getting some of the local people that have chickens that have eggs, they're coming to you?
Yes, so on all of our workshops, we reserve about 60% of the spaces for Norco residents. So they're filling up, yeah.
And also, do you have any ideas of how we can help you promote this?
100%. I have lots of ideas, probably more than we can, but I'd love to sit down with you guys and kind of talk about that and see where we can get. So.
I know Kevin loves this, and I think it's awesome, and I'm sure Robin loves it.
Well, we would not be where we are now without all of you guys, so that's very clear. Like the support we've gotten from the city of Norco has been tremendous and allowed us to expand to where we are today. So.
Okay.
All right.
Patrick?
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Okay, next we're going to have a presentation by Waste Management, one of my most favorite people in the world. Good evening, Glenda.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, City staff, members of the audience, both here present and at home. I want to start by thanking you for the opportunity to be here tonight to announce our 2025 Recycling All-Stars. However, before I start, I wanted to take a moment to share with you some of our 2025 highlights that we shared as a company, but also in partnership with you. So at Waste Management, we truly believe that we're driving sustainability. Our ongoing investments to improve material recovery is evident in our upgrades to 3 of our regional recycling facilities, where we actually integrated artificial intelligence and automation to increase the material recovery that we're receiving. We've also are creating renewable energy in our landfills by transforming landfill gas into renewable energy, natural gas. We did this in 2025 at our Simi Valley landfill, and I'm excited to say that we are planning to do the same in 2026 at our local El Sobrante landfill. So that is an exciting endeavor that we're very proud of. We've also, as all of us know, organics is a fun subject, but we're very proud that we've expanded just alone in our network here in this Southern California region, we have a total of 7 facilities that process organic waste. Now let me highlight some of the things that we've done together. And by together, I mean both our residential, commercial, and most importantly, your city staff that we work in partnership with. As you know, part of the goal of SB 1383 is to make sure that everyone is compliant with the program. And I'm happy to say that we are 100% compliant both at the commercial and residential levels. So that is a testament to the hard work that we and the city are doing together to achieve these high percentages. Also, our Lisette Hartman, who is your recycling coordinator, has done up to 125 site visits to commercial customers, providing education and outreach. And collectively, we have collected 42 million pounds of recycled material just here in the city of Norco alone to date. And I know it sounds a lot, but when you convert the tons, it is that much. And I can't forget to not mention the wonderful connection that we have here in our community. You know, we continue to provide community support to a lot of the organizations that put wonderful events here in the city of Norco. And in 2025, we launched our wonderful Join the Flock program, which was a real big success. Thanks to Robin and Kelly for your help with that. And also we continue to have educational booths at the, concerts in the park and things like that so that we can make that connection with our community. And I can't say our very well-attended residential community cleanups where everyone comes together to clean their homes and as a result, clean Norco, so we're very proud of that. And with that, I find that the best person to announce our 2025 Recycling All-Stars is Lisette Hartman, who is your recycling coordinator, and now we'll call her up.
Good evening, Lisette. How are you doing?
Good evening, Mayor Newton, Mayor Pro Tem Grunmeyer, and fellow council members. So this evening, I have the honor of recognizing valued community partners who have demonstrated their commitment to environmental stewardship. This year, usually we have our residential drivers choose our residential all-star, but we had our operations manager choose our residential all-star this year. And I have the honor of choosing the commercial all-star based on my community engagements and outreach. But nevertheless, the characteristics are the same. We look for proper diversion and constant participation. Whether Terry, our residential all-star, is reaching out to make sure she is properly diverting her recyclables on a weekly basis, or the Clark Terraces, our commercial all-star, who manages a multifamily property that could be challenging, and they also have trash chutes, yet they still contribute to the city's diversion program. Nevertheless, I want to point out that their ongoing dedication keeps Norco clean and green. So at this time, I'd like to call our 2025 Recycle All-Stars to join us for the award. But commercial All-Star tonight, Clark Terraces was not able to join us. They had a last-minute plan, but I would like to call up Terry and Casey Kester, our 2025 Recycle All-Star.
Congratulations.
Thank you. My neighbors are going to be jealous.
That's really nice. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we want to get a photo of that?
Yeah.
Back here.
Let me take one with Glenda's. Okay, gotcha.
Thank you. Congratulations. Glenda, I have a question. How do you track the residential on recycling?
By the tons we collect,
Okay.
Yep.
That's what I was asked for individually, so it's,
So the Recycling All-Stars program is
Right.
more done through the people that are out there, which is our drivers and Lisette. However, if you're talking about how we're going to be capturing diversion and increasing those numbers, it's going to be through our smart truck technology that we're going to be launching next year. So we'll be hosting a workshop. We'll be sending materials so that people are well informed before we launch it. So we're working with Sam and his team on making sure that we provide the necessary information so that we all could do our part.
on that, not to, could you share with council and get us our most current diversion reports?
Yeah, we send them to Sam.
We
The-
get them
Yeah,
monthly, but,
the number that I mentioned in my slide is based on the most current one
okay,
that we provided the city.
thank you.
Okay,
Thank you,
Thank-
Glenda.
thank you. Have a good evening.
Yeah. Certainly.
Before you leave, he's still back there. I mean, with our manure waste, and I know it's not going to be a lot, are you working with, was it 5 Keys to help them? Because I know the manure, horse manure, is not as fertile as cow. But what a better way of putting a feather in both your guys' hats is for you to key up with them and help tribute and help in, like, take a little bit of your manure over there and saying, we're putting this to good work, we're growing stuff with it. And I know it's not the best fertilizer in the world.
So we do partner with the Eat Center. I think we've done some of our compost. We've provided it, and it's based on the organics that we collect in the city. So it's not necessarily the manure, but it is the organic material that we collect
Right.
from our green cards. Yeah.
But it'd be I think it would be a great idea to waste management, filling landfills, now that you're in partnership with a farming, to where you can say, look, this is our feather in the hat. We're trying something new here to put back in the community and grow stuff.
Yeah.
So,
So
maybe
we do process the manure at Veramontes, and it's definitely, it does get composted, but it's definitely a conversation that we could have with Patrick and see if that's something that he's, able to get.
I would just.
It doesn't go to the
would be a
landfill?
Great
Yeah,
partnership.
definitely. It's something that we could entertain and see.
Thank you, Glenda.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move into regional reports, and we're going to start with Councilmember Bash.
I have nothing to report, except I do want to say to Amanda and Lisette, today the Thanksgiving for the Senior Center was so much fun. The food was delicious, and all we heard were compliments, and please let your staff know how proud I was of them. They were awesome. So thank you very much. It was so much fun.
On November 12th, I had our RCTC board meeting, business as usual. On the 13th, I had a T-Now meeting. And like I normally report, ridership is up, except there was a decrease in the dial-a-ride, which hopefully that'll change. And the youth ride free still through the end of December 2026. And then on November 14th, RTA provided a bus for the canine trials. On Friday, they were doing the detection and odor work, and it was really fascinating watching the dogs work, and especially on a bus, you have all those different odors and environment for them to work in. So it was really awesome that RTA provided a bus. So it was a good joint effort there. And then that's the end of my reports.
Thank you, Fia.
Nothing to report.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Robin. And I have just a little bit. On November 6th, attended the Chino Basin Desalter Board of Directors I wanted to thank City Manager for attending the workshop that we had there. And then for council members, you have I printed you out a little Chino Basin briefing. Kind of give you a little part of our discussion from that meeting. It was on the evolution of our two desalter facilities, where our water comes from, and just some concerns to put on the radar. This meeting was all in regard to Chino Basin Water Master, and I talked to Sam, didn't anticipate much good would come out of it, but right now we pay $1,100 an acre foot for our water that we purchase from CDA. Metropolitan water is about $100 an acre foot less. So one of the things that's in the future, looking forward, that we're going to attempt to resist is an increase of $850 an acre foot is through Water Master. We would just knock our rates all over the place. But it was interesting. It was good to go back and do a little history lesson on it. So that's why I wanted to include this for you to just go over with your pleasure and understand the magnitude of how big these facilities are in the area we cover. So, and I'll leave you with the total water basin, the Chino Basin, that's underwater master's authority, is trying to determine the capacity of this, and it's estimated that it contains approximately 12 million acre feet of water, and it's divided up amongst all these different agencies. So it was interesting, a lot to it. Lisette came back from this, she's an expert now. So, and that's all I have to report. And we're going to move into public comments. City Clerk, do we have any public comments?
I have no public comments, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Consent calendar. Any council members have any items they wish to pull?
3C.
What was the number?
3C.
I was going to ask you, Councilmember Bash, do you want to pull it, or do you want to make just comments on it? Because I was thinking the same.
I just want the number, that's all. The number that, I just would like the numbers to be read publicly to let us know that.
Okay, then let's go ahead, we'll pull it then.
We'll just pull it. I'm going to be very fast, very fast.
All right, so we have 3C. I entertain a motion to approve the rest.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Please vote. And motion passes unanimous. Thank you.
Okay. Kevin, we'll go to item 3C.
So just a little bit of a background, and most of the council people here know this. For many years, we were so underwater, it was very scary. Our first goal was 5 million, then 10 million, then 15 million, then 20 million in reserve. And every year, our finance folks tell us that we're going to be underwater, we're going to be underwater, we're going to be underwater. And this year, I believed them, but if you could let us know how we're doing, you don't have to do the whole report, just how we're doing. We actually came out ahead.
Yes, you are correct. Based on the unaudited year-end financial results for fiscal year ended June 30, 2025, we had a positive increase to our fund balance reserves of 1.8 million, bringing our accumulated fund balance to 37.9 million. As a reminder to council and to the public, the budget is a collection of estimates based on accumulation of trends, forecasts by some of our consultants. We accountants like to remain conservative, especially with dealing with public dollars, so that we don't end in a deficit situation that was not planned. But we are in a positive situation at this time, and we will continue to add this to our trends and see what we can do for the next fiscal year's budget.
Thank you. Unless there's other questions, motion to approve.
I just had wanted to make a comment to Lisette and to Joshua. And, how many times did you double check these numbers when you first ran them?
A few times.
Okay, right. So, no, I think revenues were great, and it's also good to see revenues exceed our expectations, but also expenditures being less than what we had thought. So,
While increasing services. Or increased services at the same time. We added some services that we didn't have before.
No, great job. It's a good report.
Motion to approve.
Please vote. A motion passes unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. And moving into legislative matters, item 5A, this is a second reading, ordinance number 1136. Lisette, are you, what do you want to do on the second reading? Just want to.
Sorry, I wasn't sure if the council wanted to report on second reading. Yes, this came for a first reading. This is the Equestrian Landmark Ordinance. The Equestrian Landmark essentially elevates the city and its rural character to a more appropriate status, going from a historic district to now a historic landmark. At the first reading, council reviewed a ordinance and a resolution. There were comments that because the equestrian landmark is meant to apply to the property, the ground, but not to structures, the use of real property was the improper phrase. We went back and looked for a different phrase. The best phrase that I could come up with was just land. So to clarify the ordinance, to clarify the resolution, real property was removed, land was used instead. So now it says, the equestrian landmark shall not include any improvements on residential properties, but shall apply to the land of residential properties, to clarify that it doesn't apply to structures, and people can use structures and do with their structures what they want. We're just making sure that the actual land, the physical territory, is given the proper designation of an equestrian landmark so we can preserve our large animal keeping lots with our trails and with our open spaces.
Okay, thank you, Colin. Is council agreeable with that change?
I would like to comment. One of the reasons that's really important is that state parks, national parks, various open space areas are designated landmarks, national, state, and county landmarks. So this is actually in keeping with those. So there's a lot of legal precedence behind this.
Not to mention Norco's 100-year or so fight to preserve large animal keeping lots that started decades and decades ago.
Another tool in the toolbox.
And an appropriate designation.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Is there any public comment?
We have no public comment, Mayor.
Any other questions or discussion? I'll entertain a recommendation to approve the second reading. Go ahead, Kevin.
And Mr. Mayor, it's a second reading of an ordinance and also adoption of a resolution. We had to take the resolution back to make sure the resolution matched the ordinance.
You want two separate motions on that?
Separate motions or one motion is fine.
Councilmember Bash, go ahead. Okay.
Please vote. Motion passes unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving into public hearings, I'm going to ask the city clerk to read the public hearing procedure.
Thank you, Mayor. Order of presentation for public hearing items, staff report presentation. Number 2, council questions of staff. Number 3, we'll open the public hearing, entertain public comment. Number 4, close public hearing. And 5, council discussion and action.
Thank you. Item 6A, this is a second reading. I'll call upon the city clerk to present this item.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is the second reading of ordinance number 1135 for our 2025 California Fire Code. The original first reading was at the last meeting and was passed unanimous. We're just here for the second reading, put it into a public hearing as we did for the Building and Safety Code. So we followed suit as best practice. And with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Does council have any questions of staff? If not, I'll open the public hearing. Do we have any public comments?
We have no public comments, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to council for discussion and action. If anybody'd like to make a motion? Okay. All right, so.
Please
Care to
vote.
read anything, Colin, or
We
we're
read
good?
it on the first read, Mr.
Yeah,
President.
so this is the approval of the second reading of ordinance 1135, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Yes. Okay. Your vote, Councilmember Bash? Okay, thank you. And motion passes unanimous.
Thank you. Next is item 6B. This is an appeal hearing. Appeal of the Planning Commission approval of conditional use permit 2025-04 JNP Realty.
I have to recuse myself. I'm going to go out of the room.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. This item is an appeal hearing by your city council of the Planning Commission's approval of conditional use permit 2504, which will allow the construction of a child care building with an outdoor play area, and it's located in the Norco Village Shopping Center site at 2490 River Road. The City Council's comments that initiated this appeal noted that the parking analysis should be provided and that additional conditions should be added pertaining to parking, screening, and landscaping. The item was heard initially on September 10th by the Planning Commission, and again on October 8th as a continued item. The Planning Commission approved the project with 3 added conditions. One, to add trees to the parking area. A second, to extend the pipe and screen fencing across the entirety of the property lines of the site. And third, to prohibit loading and unloading of passengers from an unparked vehicle. They did not want people unloading children in a travel lane or a parking lot travel lane. This provides an overview of the remaining vacant portion of the Village Shopping Center. And that's roughly the southwest corner of the center. It's somewhat at an angle. The site plan shows the area in gray. The project coming before you later tonight is the Nada part is a separate parcel, and the area surrounded in blue and I guess green is the actual building site, which includes play areas, turf, and the building itself. This provides a better view of the building. The maximum height is 30 feet at the peak building, and the other structures at each end are 23 and 24 feet respectively. The landscape plan does show that the perimeter of the site is heavily landscaped, and the area and the dotted area is a turfed area that provides the play areas for the building and the parking area to your right of the building. The project does meet all city standards, including landscaping, which slightly exceeds our minimum 15%, and parking, which is at 60 parking spaces, which meets our standard. The City Council appealed the decision to the Planning Commission's recommendation to discuss and add additional conditions. And so the purpose of this meeting is to discuss your concerns regarding the conditional use permit and add any other appropriate conditions that you wish to add. There is one additional condition in the staff report I would like to notice on page 2 of your staff report. And we did try to add conditions. I'm sorry, those are the 3 conditions I covered earlier that are covered by this project. And but we'd be happy to entertain any further conditions, and at which time, if there are some more, we will return the resolution to you for further action. Thank you.
Thank you. Does council have any questions of staff?
Of course.
Where's the loading and unloading for dropping kids off? I don't see it designated on there at all.
We'll call up the project planner, Mike Martin, to help identify that. I believe it's in the area just to the, where you see the landscaping area. But Mike, can you touch on that?
Hello, is this on? Greetings,
Evening.
Honorable Council. It was determined that with the addition of the condition of no loading or unloading from an unparked vehicle, that it met the intent of the code. This is determined by the acting director. There is no current loading or unloading area.
What's to prevent them from parking for stopping out in the street? That's where I'm going with it.
That is the intent of the condition of approval. It could put the entire approval for the use in jeopardy if they were to allow that.
And there will be appropriate signage to restrict stopping and loading, unloading in that drive aisle that you see to the left of the parking area. Parents and others need to pull into a parking space for their children to move over to the building.
So in other words, those days have changed where you open the car door and boot them out?
That's
basically
certainly what I'm used to,
Okay.
but that's
Right.
a safer way to do it, I believe.
And that, for Sam, just,
Thank you.
sorry. Now, along the street there, is it okay for us to put up no parking zone from certain times to certain times? How do we go to alleviate, the traffic from going down there, and foremost for the kids' safety in case they do park out there and kick them out on the.
Are you talking about River Road or on site?
Yeah. River Road, there's no parking to begin with.
Okay. That's all I got. Okay. Just clarification, questions on the two conditions that I were concerned with, and I'm not sure if it's going to fall back into 6E on the tentative parcel map, was the parking analysis that they were required to do to achieve 617 spaces. Is that on this item?
It's
or
on the tentative map. That's where the
Is that on
discussion
the
pertained
tentative
to.
map?
Yes, and that'll be forthcoming in,
Okay.
in the next item.
And then the second condition was intensifying the landscape to match the existing landscaping for the rest of the center.
That was one of the council comments about intensifying.
Definitely, right. That was the continuation of the screening wall,
Yes, the screen wall
and then the
fence.
intensification of the landscaping to match the existing intensification. That's primarily on that south property line and then on the westerly PL for a short distance. That's also tied in with the height of the adjustment on the block wall that I think you had as an original condition.
Yes. I see that was a comment of council, and we could certainly add that because it wasn't specific as to the amount of landscaping. We avoided putting something too general to simply intensify the landscaping. So we left that as is, but we can certainly add that it be intensified. The only item that was added was to put a couple of additional trees in the parking lot. That was by the Planning Commission.
Okay, that. I thought our direction was pretty clear on that. Certainly mine was that, let's go back over this. You do have the condition where the screen wall, the screening that's behind those buildings.
Yes.
The netting and the tubular steel, that continues on.
Yes, the condition.
On the south property line.
Yes, and that was.
And then westerly.
Correct. It says the entirety of the property lines adjacent to the residential properties shall maintain consistent elevation relative to the existing concrete masonry unit wall.
Correct.
In the event the wall is replaced, the requirement shall apply to any new wall erected at this location.
Okay.
Which condition was that? I'm sorry.
87.
Then with that was the landscaping that is on the south PL behind the existing buildings was originally, we intensified that landscaping to screen for the neighbors to the south. Do you remember, Robin? They added all those. Behind the center, behind the Stater Brothers.
Okay, so that's the west side.
See, I call that the south side.
So procedurally speaking, we have a resolution that was approved by Planning Commission.
Right.
That's been appealed. So council either quote unquote denies the appeal, in which case this resolution stands, or council can add provisions to this resolution. We'll add them in and bring them back for another council meeting, likely on the consent calendar, because this is a public hearing. I think staff, I remember the discussion at the last meeting.
Right.
I had a question about whether the CUP covered the property or whether the property was covered by the vesting tentative parcel
Right,
map.
on the map. That was that whole conversation.
Yeah.
And basically the intent was that with the existing facility, the landscaping was intensified to further screen those adjoining properties. And the ask was to intensify the landscaping on this project, on the PLs only, to match what's existing. Clean, simple.
And we can do that with council direction tonight. We just have to add it to the, we,
Okay,
we don't,
that's fine.
we didn't have a blank resolution we could work with because we had one that was approved, so we had to bring it back. We, yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
A best practice for me would have been to try to add a provision in and hope it was correct, but unless I had 5 council votes, I'd still have to bring it back anyway. The general way the appeals happen is it comes forward on the resolution on the table, which is this. Council says, this resolution doesn't stand for 1 or 2 reasons. Here's what we want you to add. It gets added, it gets brought back to the next hearing, is the typical procedure for these. But that doesn't mean that I couldn't have prepared a sample resolution and brought it as an Exhibit B and said, just in case you're good with this one, council, here's one where we can skip the consent calendar next time around. I do remember the discussion the mayor had, though.
It was the only reason for the appeal, was 2 items that were brought up. Intensify the landscaping, and then the applicant made the comment that he would guarantee 617 parking spaces, and it was do a parking analysis. Period. Well, apparently we got half of that right. Okay, so we can add that
Absolutely.
tonight? All right. Any other council questions? No? Going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Do we have any comments?
One speaker card, Bill Naylor.
Evening, Bill.
Evening. I wasn't going to speak until I heard the director read what he had said that he thought was in the screening with the block wall. He did not mention the additional screening that was put in. He just mentioned the block wall. We want to make sure that I think that's in there, if you understand what I'm trying to get at.
I think we just talked about that. The screening,
Okay.
like the
way he
netting with
phrased-
the tubular steel.
Yeah.
That-
But he did not mention the tubular steel in what he read from the report. That's why I wanted to make sure that it was.
Okay. Yeah, I take that as that was in there. Correct. Okay. Do we have any other comments?
We have the applicant for their 10 minutes.
Beg your pardon?
We have the applicant here to speak, and they'll have a 10-minute
Okay.
time to speak.
Does the applicant wish to make any comments? Thank you, Dana. Good evening.
Good evening. I know we have a presentation. Do you have the clicker? Thank you. Right. Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council.
Evening.
My name is Mike Johnston. I'm with Creed Group, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant. I want to thank you for your time and consideration of our conditional use permit this evening. And just wanted to take the opportunity to just address some of the concerns that you've brought up both at this hearing and at the previous City Council meeting in October when you all reviewed the approval by the Planning Commission of our project. So with that, I'll dive in. The first item I wanted to address that was a concern of yours is what we've been discussing is the condition of approval that the Planning Commission added a requirement to our permit to extend the existing pipe and mesh screening around the entirety of the site. So the photo before you shows the existing condition, and I just wanted to explain and remind everyone of the genesis of this. So this came about because the Stater Brothers was built, large delivery trucks are coming in the early mornings and in the evenings, and the mesh screen was put up. As you can see, there's no grade differential between the homes and the existing center. So those lights are shining right into the backyards of those adjacent homes. So the screen was to provide relief, to block the glare, and minimize the nuisance to the homes. So with that said, here is a site plan that you've seen previously and is in your agenda packet, but I wanted to put it in the presentation for reference purposes. So what I'm going to attempt to do over the next couple of slides is talk about the screens and within the context of our site. And that's the screen, the black mesh screen extension around the site. So in order to do that, I'm going to show you a couple different perspectives around the property. And you'll see there we have some letters A and B, so those are going to show a perspective. We'll call it to the west. I know we've been getting directionally confused, but I'll just, for purposes of this, we're looking at it. I'll say it's to the west, and those are the homes that are City of Norco properties that are adjacent to our site. And then to the south, that's going to be the C section that you see there. I'm going to show that perspective as well. So right here, we're getting a Google overhead view. You can see the sections A and B. Those properties are set back quite a bit. You got 140 feet from the one home to the property line, and then the other home 166 feet to the wall. So here's those cross sections. So you think of it as like a slice of cake. You're seeing it horizontally across the property. So you'll see the 140 feet in section A, and then per code, we're required to set back an additional 50 feet from the residential property line. So all in section A, we're 190 feet setback from their home to our building, and that doesn't account for the existing 6-foot masonry wall and the intensified landscaping that was done as a part of the original construction of the shopping center. And then section B, even more so, 166 feet, same 50-foot setback of our building, so well in excess of 200 feet setback. And not only that, but they have a couple of accessory structures in their backyard that really block the view of our building and anything we're doing as far as the development is concerned. So then to the right, you see the existing site today, the intensified landscaping. There's many, many shrubs. There's tall, thick trees. They're planted no more than, it looks like, 5 feet apart, and there's quite a bit of them. So when you combine both the extreme setback and the intensified landscaping, at that point, in our opinion, that black mesh screen isn't really doing much and isn't providing additional benefit and is redundant in the applicant's opinion. And so that's from that perspective. And then the other perspective I wanted to talk about was section C. Now, as a reminder, these are the homes to the south. These are the City of Corona homes. Now, what's different here than the Stater Brothers property is that there is a grade differential. So when you're at that Stater Brothers property, if you recall the photo, they're right on top of them. But for us, there's a grade differential, and those homes are up above the finished grade of our proposed project. So you combined the grade differential with the existing intense landscaping, and those two items we feel. And I'll show you kind of the photos here. So you have the existing screening from the dense landscaping, you have the existing masonry 6-foot wall, and then our project's going to be down below that grade. And so that grade differential, the intense landscaping, again, we just really feel like the black mesh screen that's being carried through, that the original intent was to kind of block headlights. It's not really doing that. I think the grade differential and the landscaping is going to do a great job of screening the project, and it would just create more redundancy and not really achieve what I think everyone is speculating it's going to achieve. And then just a reminder, our parking stalls are not even pointed directly at those properties to the south. They're pointed inward towards the project. And another reminder, even if they were pointed towards those properties at the south, we operate during normal business hours. It's a school. There's nobody there coming early in the mornings or late in the evening, so there's no nuisance light, no nuisance noise, nothing of that sort. So this is going to be really quiet in the evenings and really quiet in the mornings, and that landscape already provides a really great buffer. And just more pictures to iterate kind of that example. So with that, we'd just like to respectfully request that the City Council would consider removing the condition of approval to extend the screening all the way around the property. You're already trying to add a condition of approval to intensify landscaping. And so again, because of that redundancy, because of the existing and finished site conditions, we really feel like it's not necessary. And again, would like to respectfully request that you would consider removing that condition. And then the last item that we wanted to address was the parking analysis. I know there was some back and forth about which item this would be addressed in. It was my understanding that it would be addressed in this. I believe it was included in the agenda package for this staff report. But what you see before you is the parking analysis And I know the mayor and also some planning commissioners had a concern. It wasn't about our project specifically, because our project is park to code, like staff already explained, but it was more so, hey, once this gets developed, and potentially when the adjacent vacant parcel gets developed, what does that mean for the overall balance of the site? Well, what it means is we undertook a parking analysis, and Lewis Companies, the property owner, led that process. And they looked at it and they conceptualized what it would look like if it was fully developed and what those parking requirements would be. And turns out, yes, there would be a parking requirement of 617 stalls. So the plan that you see up on the screen before you accommodates 617 stalls. So it is balanced, it meets the code and the intent, and for all intents and purposes, we do not have a parking issue on the site. So in conclusion and in summary, this project is thoughtfully designed early childhood education facility. I iterated to the Planning Commission, and I'll do the same to the City Council. We're super excited to be in the city of Norco. You're a great city, and we want to be a part of this city, and we think this would bring a huge community benefit to everyone, and especially young families. And so, we took that vision for the site and that ownership over wanting to be a part of the community and really put together a site plan that emphasizes safety, accessibility, neighborhood compatibility. That was a big stressor. And we believe our landscape plan reduces visual impacts, enhances the community streetscape, and then the screening that exists, the screening that we were conditioned to do, the poles and the mesh, likely unnecessary for all the reasons I explained, due to the existing landscaping and the grade changes that render that, we believe, just redundant. So, and then lastly, the parking study confirms sufficient capacity with 617 stalls meeting the city's standards. So that concludes my presentation. Appreciate your time and attention to this, and I'm available for any questions.
Does council have any questions for the applicant? So, go back to your site plan of the daycare facility. And so we're looking through cross-section B and A.
Mm-hmm. You want me to go back to those?
Yeah, I'm trying to. Basically the rear of your building.
It's the side of our building.
Okay.
So folks are going to enter, if you know the site, there's I believe it's an El Pollo Loco. That's closer towards the entrance of the building. So I would consider C the rear of the building. But all of that area is going to be, outdoor play area.
You're then coming back through, I guess that'd be section C, your yard, leave that site plan up there, it's easier.
Oh, sorry, okay, yes.
Is gonna be your yard area and then your parking. Those are gonna face the Corona properties.
Correct.
Okay, so there'll be, assuming you're gonna have some parking lot lighting there, you're gonna have some headlights, you're gonna have lighting on the rear, somewhere in the rear portion of your yard area facing the Corona properties.
So headlights are not a concern because pickup and drop-off will be happening during normal business hours.
Like
lighting,
at 5 o'clock when it gets dark?
Yeah, and then I believe
now.
the city has its own lighting standards that we'll comply with to ensure that the light isn't bleeding over into the adjacent properties. Again, the setback is 50 feet.
Yeah, you'll submit a photometric drawing, but that's like half a foot candle. I guess what I'm going, just bottom line to me is that on those Corona properties, I'm just not buying the redundancy of it, your argument, that let that screening and let that landscaping finish it to run along the Corona property borders. On the Norco side of those houses, the trees are more intensified. If you don't, I'm fine with ending the screening in that corner and not turning it whatever direction that that is, on the Norco side, delete the screening there as a compromise, but I think you need to continue it to that corner. Yeah, go ahead, Rob. Yeah.
Can I ask a question real quick? If you go back to the cross-section of C for me.
Yep.
So that existing block wall is where Corona is, correct? If I'm looking at it correctly. So what is the fall from the block wall down to where the proposed play area is going to be approximately? It doesn't need to be.
Let's see if I can glean that from here.
Just because, Mr. Mayor, as I'm looking at this.
Right.
And looking at the parking, folks would be pulling into park headlights into a block wall, correct? And then with this, where the play yard is, there's not going to be headlights back there. So, and I think that screening is ugly. So I'm having a hard time justifying why it needs to be in that particular area.
We can leave this, come back at it for discussion.
Okay,
Or
so
I-
I need
I-
to know, I need my questions then, Mr. Mayor, since we're in questions of staff. Number one, are the parking spots along the Corona side into the block wall? And my second question is, what is the amount of fall between the block wall and the surface of the play area?
From the base of the block wall, it appears it's roughly 4 feet. Yeah. Correct, from the base of the block wall, not from the height of the 6-foot wall.
If you go back to the site plan and the proposed parking,
The parking analysis or this?
no, this one right here. So the parking that is adjacent to the Corona residence, is that they're parking into a block wall, or is it like parking, landscaping, block wall?
Correct, parking, landscaping, block wall.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions.
So my follow-up to that is, back on that drawing, you show it as a 2-to-1 max. What's your minimum? What you're seeing is the maximum slope that's allowable, but it can certainly be less than. And when you go out to the site, it's somewhat of a roller coaster out there. And this is what got us in trouble originally with Lewis and the Stater brothers, is when they moved the building and changed the grades, and then this whole thing blew up.
So in the furthest corner, sorry to
Right.
interject, all the way at the tail, right, furthest from our site, it's about a 2-foot drop versus the 4-foot.
Mhm.
Yeah, in grade differential, but that site's gonna be remaining vacant for foreseeable future, so those parking stalls, I can't imagine the furthest from the site are gonna be utilized as much as the ones closer, because, you know, going back to the original concern about the loading, how this all functions, this is a private preschool. Everyone parks, pulls in, they have to walk their kids inside of the building, they have to physically sign them in, drop them off, and then they come back out, they come to their car, and then they leave. So that's why there wasn't a concern from staff as far as loading and unloading, but as a precaution, they added that condition of approval that there be none. But that's not how this facility will operate. There's no unloading or loading. So again, folks, I mean, the likelihood that they park all the way where the grade is the shortest at an hour where it's dark out and their headlights are on, and then they walk their kids all the way down to the yard and then all the way up to the entrance. I feel like they're going to utilize the spaces closer to the El Pollo Loco more than they would the ones closer to Stater Brothers. That's just me speculating. Thinking about this logically as a parent, you know, I don't think I would park the furthest. I'd probably try to get as close as I
Right.
could. So,
But those would become, let's say, community parking stalls.
Correct. Sure.
For whatever that empty lot is today.
Sure.
Right, whatever that use is going to be. Okay? Those stalls are all part of that 617 number,
yeah, there's
right? It's all shared.
If we go back to this, I mean, there's quite a few stalls. It's hard to see here. But how they have that site, you'll see there's 2 additional rows before you ever get to that final row. And then there's a row that also faces the building. I mean, it's a 5,000 square foot shop building. It's a lot of parking all around it. It's wrapped
Right.
on every end and then another 2.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hi, Timothy Reeves with Lewis. How are y'all?
Good.
Recognize some of you. Yes, Mr.
Yep.
Mayor, we went through that whole debacle.
Right.
On the last item, would it help that if you conditioned when the 5,000 square foot building went in, we would have to put the screening along the Corona, not this applicant?
You know, honestly, the burden of cost is upon Lewis.
Yes, sir.
And,
That's what I'm
and
offering.
I don't, never contended that the daycare should be paying for that. All I want to see is your development, your continuation of the trees. If my colleagues feel the screening maybe isn't necessary, that's fine. But
But if you condition the map that if, in the event the empty lot is developed, that applicant would have to put in the additional screening, would that help, sir?
no,
Okay.
because
I'm
it'll
just
be
trying
the
to
same
confirm.
conversation, just kick down the road, and where then you're going to put that burden on whoever wants to develop that property.
Well, currently we own it, but I understand.
Right, currently you own it, and then you're going to sell it.
Okay, I was just trying to come up with a compromise for everyone, so.
I'll compromise with you on this, on the screening on the Corona side, don't need to do it. But just carry on the trees like you did. That's my feeling. I may be in the minority on that. It shouldn't be your burden to cost. It should be Lewis's.
Yeah. So,
Okay, I know.
Yeah, point of clarification. So the map is coming after us.
Right.
That's allowing for the subdivision of this site, and then it's their intention to convey the property to my client. So we're going to be the developer, not Lewis. So that's why there's a little bit of pushback, just because it's a mom and pop business owner. So every dollar counts. So if there's a way, you know, that we could describe, like achieve what you're looking for with intensified landscaping, but not, you know, unduly burden the site with all this screening, that would be our preference, but, you know, we're more than willing to compromise as well.
Well, we can discuss that amongst council, but, you know, if you want to help out the mom and pop shop, when both of you give up some of your commission to offset that cost.
I got a family to feed too, so I
There
don't
you
know if
go.
that's exactly fair.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant?
When you go to page 56 of, and you're looking at section A and B, can you point those out exactly where they're at? Because the way that shows, it has a 201 slope going the other way.
A and B? That's correct. I think our argument on this is not the grade differential, it's the setback. So the home is over, the first one is 200 feet from our building, and then the other one is well over 210 feet. So the argument on this one is the setback, in addition to the landscaping intensification. If you go out there, that's probably that's the segment that's the most intense with the landscaping. As someone just visiting it, I can't logically see how the black screen would provide any additional benefit. That's just me personally, that's my opinion. But
Where's it
we're
at on
open
the
to
other set of plans?
On the set of
Yeah, when
plan-
you go back to the layout.
Right here?
Yeah. where's section A is right there?
Yep.
And section B is right there?
Yep.
So if you're standing right there, anywhere around there, you're gonna have a clear shot into their backyard, and that's where the screen's gonna go? Because if you look at this, it's almost, you're looking, if you're doing a 2-to-1 slope, and you got a 6-foot wall, and that 2-to-1 slope, you're looking at sitting flat-footed, and you're looking right over top of the block wall easily. A 6-foot.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe if I could speak to that concern.
Is that
So-
where, is more to, for Greg, is that where exactly we want the screen wall to go? Because I think it should be a 10-foot block wall, like we were talking about before on another incident where it's from grade, but we don't want them to be able to have a clear shot into the backyards. Something's got to stop people from, they need some type of privacy. That's what I'm getting at. Because if you look at, you go back to section A and B, those houses are going to have a straight shot into their, and even though you're saying it's, you walk outside to feed your animals, you walk outside, and some people don't get up late and they're walking out in their pajamas, people are going to be able to see them with straight shot.
I'm not that concerned on section A, section B, of any lighting impacts there. It's section C where that, like I said, where that grade will show a 2-to-1 max, but grades change. Okay.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Any other cards?
No further comments, Mayor.
I'm going to close the public hearing. Bring it back to council for any discussion or comments. Fia?
I definitely understand what you're talking about, and that how sometimes grades can change. And so I do think that it would be warranted probably to put additional screening there. I mean, on one hand, when we talk about where the headlights are gonna go and where the block wall is, but again, when it's actually built, what is the grade gonna be, is my concern.
Robin?
So whose job is it to make sure it's built at the grade that it says it's going to be on the plans?
That would be staff when they submit their grading plans. Making the assumption right now, what we're being shown is just an educated example. Sam, would you care to comment on
Yeah,
the
the
rough grading and precise grading? And
Yeah, the plan they have is probably pretty dang close to what they're gonna do. They actually have a precise grade plan with grades called out. And at the end of the project, we require a precise grade certification from a engineer certifying that the grades are in substantial conformance with the approved plans. Sometimes we find that things will vary, but when they do vary, it's this, not this.
maybe not in this case.
I guess for me, we're not dealing with like the whole property being raised or lowered like we did when the project started or in other projects that have been completed in the city that have given us frustration. And I'm trying to wrap my head around why cars pulling into a block wall needs to be screened with that pipe and screen when there's landscaping and trees, and how those headlights would potentially be above a 6-foot block wall. So I need you to explain to me why that screening needs to be there when people are pulling into a wall.
Well, number one, let's say that came from, Planning Commission. That was one of their conditions. I look at it just as a continuation of what we had with what was developed and finish out that property line. Right now it just kind of looks sparse. There's some trees there. The Norco side is more intense on that other section, whatever it was, like A and B. So additional landscaping on the Corona side, that was shown as section, the cut through was C.
Correct. And I don't have a problem with additional landscape, but I just went over there a week or two ago, and that screening, even with the additional landscaping behind it, is hideous looking. Absolutely hideous. And I don't know why we would continue it for the sake of saying we're gonna go all the way to the end of the property line if it's not gonna serve a purpose other than, in my opinion, to be ugly.
I could go with you on the screening. I'd just like to see additional trees there and additional landscaping.
I 100% agree.
But as we've learned in the past, what we went through makes me somewhat gun shy that once it's built,
We can't do anything except listen to Corona people complain at us again, like they did before. And my personal opinion is if that happens, that we resolve it then, like we did in the past, because again, if we're talking a matter of inches, not a matter of feet, I don't know. I just don't want to go through approving all these projects all the time thinking, well, staff's not going to do their job, or so-and-so's not going to build it the way they said they're going to build it. And so we're putting all these extra conditions in instead of just holding people accountable to doing their.
Two conditions.
But again, this is based off of, again, our previous practice, but instead of being reactive, why don't we just hold people accountable to doing it right the first time and doing their job and following the plans that we get instead of being reactive? That's where I'm trying to get to, and I don't understand, or I don't know how we're going to get there if we keep doing things the way we're doing them.
Because it's a plan, and as we've seen in this case, plans change once work actually starts. And that's where we get bit. We saw it at this development. We've seen it currently at 3rd and Hamner.
I get that. I guess for this, you can go out and physically see the property and that it's lower, but, you know, we all get a vote, and then we'll see what the vote turns out to be.
Greg, any further comments?
No, I already said everything I need to say.
Okay. Well, then, recommendation, this is Appeal Planning Commission Resolution 2025-24 regarding conditional use permit 2025-04.
Can I ask the city attorney a question real quick before any motion? Was that your motion?
That's the recommendation. So what I was going to suggest to you, if you want to take out the screening, I would support just intensifying the landscape to match existing on that, what I'll call the south side. You can call the Corona side.
And then we can go out there and get a compass and play north, south, east,
There you
west. Colin, we have to appeal it to change or add a condition, is that correct? Like if we wanted to strike the screening and add intensified landscaping, that would be, we would appeal it, it would be changed and then come back, is that correct?
So we have to appeal it to change it, but that doesn't mean it has to come back at another meeting if we have certain language. Like
Oh,
if the
okay.
only change is strike condition 88 and approve with condition 88 stricken, no problem. We can strike it, the mayor can sign it. The only reason we would need to bring it back is if there's some question about whether council approves the ultimate language. If we have language certainty tonight, we're done tonight.
Okay, thank you.
If I may comment, as you know, the issues with this project with the CUP appeal are almost identical to issues raised with the map, the tentative parcel map. And we do have a proposed condition about enhanced landscaping that we applied to the map because there are multiple parcels, 2 parcels as opposed to just the daycare center site. So we do have wording for an enhanced landscaping condition if you'd like to add that. And I could read it into the record if you'd like at this time.
That's what's on the map.
Yes, but
Right.
but if you'd like to apply this to the daycare center as well, the CUP, I could certainly mirror that language in both projects as conditions.
Okay, and then,
If you'd like me to read that language.
yeah, but one second question for the Mayor Pro Tem was, Planning Commission recommended the screening. You want to delete the screening portion of that?
That would be my preference, but again, there's 4 people up here, so
Okay.
I don't know how our colleagues feel.
No, if you
after
want to read
listening
that,
to us
that
argue about it.
portion on the tentative map.
Yeah, and Mr. Mayor, if I can make a comment, sorry, I think the concern is now alleviated since we've been informed that the daycare is going to be purchasing the parcel. I think there was an issue coming in as to who would ultimately be responsible for putting in the enhanced landscaping. And that was part of the discussion of whether it should go in the vesting tentative map or in the CUP. So now that has been alleviated, it can go into one, it can go into the other, it can go into both. So it makes things much easier today.
If I may, the proposed condition it states, prior to the recordation of the final map, the applicant shall prepare and submit an enhanced landscaping plan to the Planning Division for review and approval, and to implement the approved plan to the satisfaction of the Planning Department at the time of development for each commercial lot at the expense of the property owner. The landscaping shall include additional trees, shrubs, and any necessary screening treatments along areas abutting residential areas. I would propose that the only change to this would be for each commercial lot, since it would only apply to, in this case, to the daycare site.
Okay. Well, Robin, how do you want to craft your motion then? Well, Colin, we could just say that approved conditional use permit 2025-04 with taking out the screening, but leaving in or intensive, or adding taking that condition out and putting in the intensification of the landscaping?
Yes, the exact condition that's in the
That,
vesting. Yes,
right.
we can.
Without
We can make
having
that-
to come back in 2 weeks or a week or whatever, and.
We make that the new condition 87 in the CUP.
Okay. All right. If we're good with that, I'll make that the motion.
That makes sense. We're going to strike condition 87. and
Certainly.
replace it with the condition that you read.
Correct. That's what I would propose. In terms of the wording, again, I would delete the reference to the parcels, but only to the daycare site. What I had read was at the time of development of each commercial lot. So at the time of development of the proposed project. That's the only change in the wording from what I read earlier.
Okay.
Does that get council to where council wants to be? From my understanding, council wanted the trees to go across the entire lot.
Which it would on that map. That I'm taking as part of the daycare center. The other undeveloped lot at this time is that 5,100 square foot lot that's further up.
Yes. And the map condition would take care of that issue, if that's a concern.
Okay.
I will second the mayor's motion.
Dana, we have a motion and a second.
Please vote.
Okay. Thank you.
A motion carries.
Thank you. Sheriff, would you mind getting Kevin out of the hallway and send him?
I think he still needs to, we still have the vesting tentative.
Really? He would have to abstain on a tentative map?
Same parcel.
It's your call.
Kevin, my apologies. We're going to do the vesting tentative map now, just for, since you recused on the first one, it's probably best to have you recuse on the second one. It's my bad. Sorry about that.
We just forgot what you look like.
Yeah.
Sorry, Councilmember Bash is getting his steps in, so.
Okay. And we're going out of order on this. This is item 6E, vesting tentative map 39067. And that will be you again.
And to continue with essentially the same project. Incorrect PowerPoint up here. Okay. Thank you. Mayor, council members, this item is vesting tentative parcel map 39067 by the Lewis Company. It's a request to subdivide a 2.22 acre parcel into two lots located at the southwest corner of River Road and Corridon Street within the Norco Village Shopping Center. The project was initially approved by the Planning Commission and for recommendation for final approval by the City Council on consent calendar. However, when this project came to Council on consent calendar on October 15th, it was pulled and asked that it be calendared for discussion at this date. As you can see from the site, I will go through these quickly since you've seen these already. However, the parcel map does show what you saw earlier in terms of the proposed daycare center on parcel 1 and a future commercial use on parcel 2 of just under 1 acre. At the Planning Commission meeting on October 8th, the Commission approved the subdivision. But additional concerns were raised about the parking plan, and those concerns pertain to the 617 required parking spaces in which the property owner agreed to maintain that count. But the Planning Commission wanted to ensure that the parking spaces were met, and I will get to that in a minute. And the company representative also showed the same slide, I believe, that we'll be showing later in this presentation. And then when the item was pulled on October 15th, the City Council inquired also about the 617 spaces, and the applicant did provide a parking plan, Exhibit D, which is attached to your packet. And the council also discussed intensification of landscaping on the commercial site to be the responsibility of the property owner. This condition has been added to the resolution. This is shows the overall parking on the entire Norco Village Shopping Center site, including the proposed development area of the daycare, and then future development of the vacant lot. The site summary, a blow-up of what is on that parking plan, shows that 617 stalls are provided at a ratio of 5.73 spaces per 1,000 square feet, which meets city standard. The map is, the findings are that it is consistent with the general plan. None of the conditions for mandatory denial are met. It's also consistent with the applicable general plan and zoning, and it's exempt from CEQA. In conclusion, staff does recommend that your commission due to the fact that the parking ratio is met and that the 617 spaces are being retained on site. And with the additional condition, which I read into the record earlier, staff believes that this project warrants your approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Does council have any questions to staff? No? Hearing none, I'll open the public hearing. Do we have any comments?
No public comments on this item.
Does the applicant wish to comment on this item? No? Thank you. I'll close the public hearing. Bring it back to council for any discussion. Fia, any discussion? Robin? No. Greg? I don't either. I'll make a motion to adopt, as we commented earlier, and with those conditions, adopt Resolution 2025-73.
Please vote. A motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you. You know what? Nah, leave them out there. Good to see you again. Have a good evening. Okay, we're going to go back into order. This is item 6C, first reading, Ordinance 1137.
Good evening, Council. Mr. Mayor.
Hi, Alma.
Hello. So this presentation is on Zone Code Amendment 2025-01. And this is an amendment to our accessory building ordinance, which was initiated based on our annual review, which is required by the municipal code. So I'm going to give you a little bit of just kind of in a nutshell what the Zone Code Amendment is proposing. So the provision for large vehicle parking buildings, what is being proposed is that the 1,000 square feet is allowed plus an additional 400 square feet. This amendment proposes to eliminate the additional 400 square feet. And in addition to that, it's proposing to establish a maximum width So in essence, what you're creating is kind of resulting in a long skinning building. So it doesn't result in a future living unit. The second item is to amend the findings for the granting of an accessory building, in that the granting of an accessory building doesn't prohibit the addition of a detached minimum 800 square foot ADU, and that when you do approve an accessory building, that it doesn't prohibit a future ADU in a manner that protects the animal keeping areas on the property. Lastly, there is a section of the code that talks about large vehicle parking buildings and all of their accessory buildings, basically section 18.6820, and large animal keeping shelters. What this code amendment is proposing is that it specify that only one large vehicle parking building, one accessory building like a workshop or be allowed, and but that it not affect the animal keeping buildings. And the way the code amendment was written is that it's not applicable to large animal keeping shelters, are not affected. So that would trigger also to if the applicant wanted to build, for example, small animal keeping shelters, and we can clarify that in the amendment. This is a charter issue. It requires a supermajority, 4/5 vote. The pros of this zone code amendment is that best described, it would allow or kind of minimize the proliferation of detached buildings where we still have control to basically accommodate, such as ADUs, where we really don't have, well, we do have some control, but it's limited. And that way, there's still room for animal keeping. It protects animal keeping. So in essence, that's the basis behind it. And the cons to this is basically that you are reducing, further eliminating the options that a property owner has when it comes to detached buildings, accessory buildings such as garages and workshops. The Planning Commission reviews the zone code amendment and recommended approval, and staff is recommending that the council adopt the first reading. And with that, I will conclude.
Thank you, Alma. Does council have any questions, staff? I have one.
Sure.
On the Planning Commission conversation on this item, how was Planning Commission looking at this to eliminate the 400 square foot? I mean, conversations, there are pros and cons, and
if I remember correctly, the pros and cons, well, this originated from the Planning Commission as a recommendation to the City Council. So that's where it originated. And the reason being, the way I understand it, is because, as council is aware, a detached accessory building, you could convert it to an ADU, the whole thing. So in order to minimize the potential of that happening, that's why the additional 400 square feet was recommended for elimination.
okay. Have we had any code cases on that? Do you recall?
Not to my knowledge, off the top of my head.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Alma.
One thing I'd like to clarify is, as I was reading my presentation, is when we talk about just allowing one large vehicle parking building and one other accessory building, that we specify that when it comes back to the second reading, that it also not prohibit like the smaller buildings, like for chicken coops, et cetera. So,
Absolutely.
And for the second reading, we'll make sure to clarify that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Dana, do we have any cards?
One speaker card, Bill Naylor.
Evening, Bill.
Evening again. First of all, I'd like to thank staff for making a correction. I've got the staff report that was printed off the website and such for this, and under the, what do you call it, the staff's background, they did not include some of the stuff that was just now brought forward, because originally they were limiting it, all the structures to even one large animal structure, and for us that have multiple acres, that would be kind of foolish. And I'm glad to see that they did make that change. That was the only thing I was going to question on. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
We have no further speakers.
Thank you. Close the public hearing. Bring it back to council for discussion and action. Start with Kevin. Fia? Greg? No. Robin? No. Okay. Only to note, Kevin, on your motion to adopt ordinance 1137 for first reading. Okay. I'll second.
Can I read the title? Thank you.
Colin?
Ordinance number 1137, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Norco, California, approving Zone Code Amendment 2025-01, a city-initiated proposal to amend Norco Municipal Code, Title 18, Zoning, Chapter 1868, Accessory Building Use Permits, to amend the provisions regulations for large vehicle parking buildings by reducing the provisions for size and specifying size dimensions, to amend the findings for the approval of accessory buildings, and to specify the number of accessory buildings allowed under Chapter 1868.
And please vote. Motion passes unanimous.
Okay, thank you. Sure I'm not missing any. We'll go to item 6D. This is an amendment to the objective development standards. Who's going to do this one?
Mr. Mayor, our consultant from Civic Solutions will be presenting this item.
Good evening. Hi.
Hi. Good evening, Mayor Newton, members of the City Council. Thank you for your time tonight. So tonight we are here to recommend that the City Council approve an amendment to the city's objective development standards for multifamily and mixed-use housing development projects. I know we've discussed this before, but just a reminder to why we're bringing this update now, why we're doing this timing. The general plan update process that we are in the middle of right now, throughout that process, we explored various design concepts for opportunity sites within the city, and that led us to better defining the Norco lifestyle and agrarian small town character. So city staff came to realize that the current objective development standards don't fully deliver in creating the sort of small town design and character that we are defining and envisioning together through our updated general plan process. So city staff decided now is an opportune time to update the objective development standards concurrent with updating the general plan so that we can ensure we have the development standards in place to implement the vision and policy directions of the new general plan once that's adopted next year. Oh, this slide did not come over. But I will discuss it anyway, and it's a slide that you, the City Council, has seen before, and I just wanted to bring up the points again without looking at the slide. But as we've been working with you and staff on this effort, we all understand that there's competing priorities that we need to consider when we're putting these objective development standards together. And of course, first and foremost is Norco's priorities. We want to maintain Norco's small-town character, support Norco's agricultural and equestrian lifestyle, and improve and increase the tax base. So this is the area where the updated standards, what has been added to the standards, are really much improved in that we've added requirements for agricultural amenities, connected streets, agrarian design. So those are a lot of the features that you see in the updated standards. Number two, though, we have the state mandates. And of course, the state requires cities to adopt objective development standards. And the intent from the state's perspective is to streamline and remove barriers to the production of housing in order to meet your regional housing needs allocation, or your RHNA, as established by the housing element. So these standards must allow for feasible development at the densities allowed by your zoning code and on the identified housing sites in your housing element. So those were the design efforts and studies that the Sargenttown planning team was going forth when they were designing the standards and making sure that they are feasible at the maximum densities allowed by your zoning code. And of course, developers can always come in with less dense development, but we wanted to make sure that the standards allowed for the maximum densities that you allow in your zoning code. And then third, of course, are developer priorities. They're looking to minimize risk, maximize profits, so they want clear standards, they want a surety in their process, and they want a surety that if they're meeting the city's goals, they're gonna get their project approved. So these are the kind of the three things that we're trying to balance in the updated development standards. Tonight, we have Sargenttown Planning here. We have Juan Gomez-Novi, who will give the presentation. And then we also have Andrew Chrisman. He's the lead designer, and he is here remotely, I believe, for Q&A. So thank you.
Thanks, Jean, and good evening, Mayor Newton and members of the council. I'll give a brief summary of the new and amended ODS. So the key objectives of these ODS are to visualize and clarify multifamily and mixed-use development that reflects Norco's agrarian small-town character, and to integrate shared community amenities reflect Norco's agrarian heritage and expand opportunities for community participation in equestrian and small plot agricultural activities. Note, and Jean mentioned that these ODS supplement the city's municipal code, which allows development between 20 and 30 DU per acre, and with invocation of the city's density bonus up to 35 DU per acre. So while these ODS must be tailored to accommodate these densities, their most important objective is to guide development that delivers places that reflect Norco's character. Key adjustments and additions shown in red text here are the introduction of urban design provisions, including block, street, and open space standards, clear and expanded site design standards, the introduction of Norco-specific community amenity standards, refinements to the building height standards and parking requirements, and clarified architectural standards that foster the design of buildings that better convey Norco's unique character. The place-based approach of the ODS, modeled on the qualities of traditional neighborhoods, like Norco's character-defining neighborhoods, require a network of interconnected tree-lined streets and blocks that provide convenient access to parks and community amenities, that enable multiple routes to destinations, and that provide a more inviting and comfortable place to walk, ride, bike, and drive. The ODS provides street design standards to guide the design of internal streets, including their sidewalks, equestrian trails, street trees, on-street parking, and how buildings relate to the sidewalk. The ODS require that each new development be connected to the surrounding context, making more of Norco rather than just a closed-off project, and to balance connectivity goals with the traffic and parking management. For example, a single vehicular connection here at the 4th and Hamner project at 4th Street and Clark Avenue provides a crossable intersection for pedestrians, equestrians, and cars without creating too many vehicular conflicts along 4th Street. It enables distribution of traffic to Hamner Avenue via multiple routes, including Town and Country Drive to the north, Horseless Carriage Drive to 5th Street, also to the north, via 4th Street, and via Clark Avenue to Market Street to the south. It also enables multiple access routes for emergency vehicles. The ODS also encourage advantageous connections to nearby uses, so that residents and visitors can walk between homes, shops, medical offices, and other amenities. However, all affected property owners must agree to the connection and whether it will allow vehicles or only pedestrians, cyclists, or equestrians. The ODS also require that developers coordinate proposed and future utilities between phases and adjacent sites. The ODS clarify the types and quantities of community amenities that new development must provide, including which ones are required and which are optional. They introduce a point system which prioritizes amenities that the community has identified as most important to Norco, and particularly equestrian amenities, agricultural amenities, and shared open space. The ODS provide clearer site design direction, including building, parking, and open space, placement and configuration, to ensure that buildings are located at the front of the lot and parking is located behind, and that these buildings and their entrances face the street, common open spaces, and parks. These ODS clarify how porches, stoops, lobby entries, and for mixed-use projects, shop fronts are designed. Not only are these frontage and access types important for enabling access to buildings, they also provide a human scale to these buildings and help break down the massing of larger buildings. They clarify where parking is located and how it is screened from surrounding development and neighborhoods. They direct how parking is accessed, driveway design and design of garage door openings, all with the goal of perpetuating Norco's agrarian small-town character. They require the preparation of a parking management plan to ensure that building owners or building management company and not the city is responsible for managing and enforcing parking. They enable shared parking agreements whereby new residential parking may be accommodated within adjacent parking lots, subject to a recorded and parking agreement. Regarding parking requirements, the proposed ODS in the middle column lower the parking standards to be generally consistent with current best practices and closer to density bonus provisions in order to discourage developers from invoking state density law waivers. The state density bonus parking standards which I'm sorry I didn't add to this slide, but they're 1 space for 1 bedroom unit, 1.5 for 2 bedrooms, and 1.5 for 3 bedroom units, and which yields an average of about 1.2 spaces per unit. The proposed ODS yield an average of 1.81 spaces per unit. The ratio of the existing ODS as written is 2.59 spaces per unit. So we're trying to find a middle ground here to make it more realistic for a developer. Note that the proposed standards are minimum standards, so development could provide more, and developers could elect to provide guest parking spaces as well. Regarding building and architectural design, the ODS provide guidance for the design of place-specific buildings that reflect Norco's character. This includes siding, muted colors, pitched roofs, and wood detailing. Regarding height, the ODS clarify building heights, introducing number of stories up to 4, and adjusting the height limit at the center of the site, that is 100 feet from any project boundary, to 42 feet to top of parapet or 40 feet to top of ridge. So if you have a building with a flat roof, it would be a little shorter. Within 100 feet of any project boundary, the height is adjusted to 3 stories and 36 feet to top of parapet and 40 feet to top of ridge. Within 80 feet of an A1 or R1 zone, the height limit is 2.5 stories or 35 feet, and buildings must have pitched roofs when you're next to an A1 or R1 zone. These height standards are based on building heights needed to accommodate development allowed by the HOD zone or overlay, by the city's density bonus, and by the parking standards established in these ODS. So at the highest densities, a 4-story height limit will be needed to accommodate the municipal code prescribed building envelope. And here you see where where up to 4 stories will be allowed on the 4th and Hamner and 2nd and River sites, and where lower heights and pitch roofs are required adjacent to the existing A1 neighborhood located to the east of 2nd and River project. In addition, shade structures of roof terraces and enclosed roof access spaces must fit within the maximum height and must be located at least 150 feet away from R1 and A1 zones to help improve privacy with those existing single-family houses. Also, we confirm with the Riverside County Fire Department that Norco is equipped with a tractor-drawn aerial ladder or tiller truck housed at station number 17, can reach up to, it's my understanding, up to 100 feet with its main ladder. So it being 48 feet, we're within the reach of that. The ODS provide enhanced building massing and frontage design direction to ensure buildings are house and barn form in keeping with Norco's agrarian small town character. Traditional buildings are essentially boxes that utilize simple modulation strategies, such as shown here. These ODS update previous architectural standards, which focus on the Western style to guide the design of buildings that better fit Norco's small-town agricultural character. On the slide, you see a list of design elements covered by the ODS that provide design guidance for multifamily development, mixed-use development, and commercial development. So with that, please let me know if you have any questions. And Andrew Krisman is on the Zoom line too to help answer any technical questions, and Gene's here as well.
Evening. Overall, I think this is the consensus of all our meetings that we've had. So does council have any questions for the consultant at this time?
Just parking. I know what you suggested, the state of California is wanting less, but we need to push for more parking. Because you know, the single bedroom, you're gonna get the first time couple going in there, so that's 2 cars. And then you're gonna have, how many of these are 3 and 4 bedrooms?
In order to come up with the unit, the space per unit ratio, we assume the same numbers that the 3rd and Hamner project was, and that was about 47% 1 bedroom, 48% 2 bedroom, and 5% 3 bedroom.
So
yeah,
48% of them are gonna be 1 car. So I can already see the problem with that. There's getting a lot of parking, and now it's gonna, like I said before, it's gonna migrate into the businesses, and then I foresee a problem. And I know the state's pushing that, but we gotta push at least 2 for the 1 bedroom. That's always been my concern, because you're gonna have first-time people coming in, and they're both gonna be working, they're both gonna have a car. Where do you put the second car? Only I can see it is they're gonna be parking in the parking lots of the business around there, and then we're gonna get complaints from them. So.
Yeah, part of that can be dealt with the parking management plan. And what that parking management plan would require is that when someone signs a lease, it would stipulate how many parking spaces they have. There'd be a sticker or some sort of system so they can monitor how many parking spaces are there. There would be a requirement that they contract with a towing company to,
Well, I can
tow violating.
tell you that from personal experience in Rancho, it doesn't work. They start migrating, and no matter how much you get after them, they had to come up with a different plan. So we need to come up, I don't know how we're going to do it, but you got to have at least 2 for a single.
Yeah, and part of this is these are, these are minimums. One can be hopeful that developers would be, providing the market, the correct market amount of parking spaces that should be provided. I know that may not always happen, but I think that's an important goal. And I think the biggest issue, though, is if the parking number is made too high, the developer can obtain a waiver or get a waiver that would let him use the very low, the 1.27 average per unit. And that also could result in maybe waiving other important features of, Norco, placemaking features of a development. So it's kind of this difficult balance of you don't want to make it too high, but again, you don't want to make it too low either. So
What you're saying is a no. That's what I'm getting out of it. The state's going to say no.
I'm sorry?
The developer's going to say, look, we're going to go with the minimum. I see I see a problem.
Yeah.
That's all.
Right. I
see a
understand.
problem, and all I'm hearing is, well, they have the ability to go less, and I see a big problem, and who's going to pay for the fire truck? Where we're going to have a ladder truck, because if we go up 3 stories or above.
Well, my understanding is that the city of Norco, that there already is.
What's that?
My understanding is that there is one at station number 17, I believe. is my understanding.
Well, that's news to me.
Harupa Valley, okay.
That would be Riverside County Cal Fire, and the chief can explain it. The city of Norco does not.
I see, yeah.
But that's all I have.
Any other questions? Thank you. At this time,
Sure, thank you.
I'll go ahead and Chief, could you step up here? And just so we can clarify it once and for all officially.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. So, yeah, our closest truck in this area is at Station 17 in Harupa Valley, off San Savine Road. So it's kind of on the corner of the 60 and the 15.
Correct.
Which is quite a track to get it down here.
And we have mutual aid with Corona.
Yes,
with
and it just depends on if those are available too. They may be out running another call, so put the time into it. But the one that we have is closest is Station 17.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Okay, no problem.
All right. I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Do we have any cards?
We have one speaker card, Dylan Wimple.
Good evening.
Good evening, Council.
I want to say that this is a huge undertaking, and I appreciate all of the time that staff has taken to establish objective standards for the city of Norco. Their understanding of our city and what goes into making it Norco is very apparent in the design choices that they laid out. To earlier points of parking spaces can cost between $10,000 and $20,000 per space, which adds significant cost to the units, which hurts us when we go to affordability requirements, as well as the density requirements. A 200 to 300 square foot footprint of a parking lot forces the density higher, requiring those taller units. So it is a trade-off, as they were saying, and I do respect what they've balanced between what Norco needs and what the state is requiring. What I would ask that we add within the landscaping portion of the document, it does reference our native plants and California drought-tolerant plants. It also references our approved street tree list. Last year, we adopted the Native Plant Initiative, which has gotten great feedback from anyone I've spoken to. I would ask that we update our street tree list. It was last updated in 2018, accommodating oaks as these new streets are drawn out with these developments. I think go a long way in improving our urban habitat restoration efforts. Thank you.
Thank you.
If no further comments, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to council for any discussion. Kevin?
So I really want to thank you. It's a huge, huge move forward in terms of the architectural stuff. I know the road getting there was not pleasant. I also want to thank Kelly, because I know Kelly did a lot of work on this, so thank you very much. I know that you did a lot of research and did a lot of feeding and stuff like that, so I really appreciate your efforts, Kelly. In terms of the parking, I absolutely understand. I don't think of it as a state requirement. I think of it as a state, you do it or else. And the unfortunate part is that they you start getting into bonus density and builder's remedy and all that kind of stuff, and all of a sudden all your architecture goes away, and they just start, because it's a bunch of kids running the housing authority, and they don't care. They don't care. And so as bitter a pill as it is to swallow, if we can just keep as whole as possible, I think that's the ticket. In terms of the fire truck, as we already know, we can't fight a fire in the apartment complex that's going in now. We had to go rely on Corona to come and put out a fire on the second story of Heritage Park. And thank God they were available, that we had the mutual aid. So the problem is we could probably afford to buy a fire truck. The problem we have is manning it. That's the difficulty. But I think at some point, given what's coming at us, I think we're going to have to look at, if we have a catastrophic incident, we have an earthquake, we have a fire, something of that nature, we're going to have one of those kind of fire trucks, given what's being forced upon us in Norco. Literally in 5 to 10 years, you could have one, two, you could have one at River and 2nd, 4th and Hamner, obviously 3rd and Hamner, Beacon Hill, Bluff and River. You could literally have 2 to 4 story buildings, and we have no possible way to stop a fire in any of those if it happens really above the 2nd floor if Corona is not available. And in a catastrophic incident, Corona may be in flames, Europa Valley may be in flames, there may be some issues. So I think at some point we need to think about it. But I personally think, back to this, I'm really pleased. I mean, we're being forced to do this. I don't like that. But I think what you've come up with is actually pretty interesting. So I appreciate that, and I'll leave it to the rest of you.
Pia?
Pretty much just echoing a lot that Kevin has said. There is a big concern about the fire truck. And, you know, nobody likes what Sacramento is forcing us to do, but having a solid blueprint for this kind of thing is good. And I feel that this was well done, and a lot of time and thoughtfulness went into it. And I understand about the parking, but again, we have to do it in a way to where the developer I'm just gonna build what I want because Sacramento tells me I can do that. And that's also, it's like this weird dance we have to play here, which is really frustrating because we all want our large open lots. So, but nevertheless, as far as this goes, I think this was really well done, and I like it.
Greg? Okay. Robin?
Just wanted to say thank you to the city staff and the consultants that worked on it. I know it was hard. It was a very, very hard process. So just thank you for the time and effort and multiple meetings and conflicting input and all the things that the team fought through to give us the document that we have. And I think it's going to be good for the city, but I think it's also good for developers because we have a clear picture now of what the expectations are for our community, and I think that's going to go a long way as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Robin. I'll echo the same. Thank you to staff, all your hard work, and the consultant. I'm glad we went from Victorian architecture to agrarian architecture over the course of these travels. No, I think it's the correct document to have, and we'll fight it as it comes at us. So if there's no other discussion, I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-72 to approve the updated ODS document, which is the amendment.
Please vote. Motion passes with Councilmember Bowen voting no. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Go into City Council and staff communications. We'll start with city staff. Dana? Sam? Okay. Amanda? I do want to compliment you and let everybody know that our rural trail markers, we got the new signage for those. And yesterday, Todd and I did volunteer work and installed the first one at the Corridon staging area. So they look good. Thank you, Amanda. Sheriff? Lieutenant? Okay. And thank you to you for your help yesterday. Yeah. We took out some trash. Chief? Anything? Thank you. Colin?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Set?
Just want to wish everybody a blessed Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Nothing to report.
We're good? Greg?
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Robin? Fia? Kevin?
Going to be having our last December 7th Remembrance Ceremony. It's year 20, and I hope everybody can come on out. We have a good program. We have the commanding officer from Seal Beach, who is going to be our guest speaker. We've got singers and flyovers and bagpipes and all kinds of things. So I'm hoping that this will be at the memorial. We could not do it at the Navy base again, but this will be, we figured 20 years something I wanted to do once. 19 years later, we're still here. If somebody else picks it up, so be it, but this will be my last year, and so I'm looking forward to going out with a bang. And then I think now we need to respond to the keeper of the National Register now that the government's back open. So if we can maybe make an appointment to talk with our attorney and try to get I heard somebody say there's a window between now and Thanksgiving or between Thanksgiving and Christmas, so I think we need to hit that window. And I think we actually need to hit the keeper letter or the assistant keeper letter really hard. But that'll be up to the attorney. But I think now we need to really push that forward. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. I just have two things, and I'd like council's support on this. Years ago on Planning Commission, we required commercial developments to have monumental art with their projects. And it has been hit and miss. And my understanding at this point in time, it's like on planning, we took it as like a policy, but we don't have a written resolution or anything that says that a developer on a commercial property has to incorporate monumental art. So if staff, and then if necessary, the Planning Commission bring forward a resolution on that. And, well, let me finish with that. It is that we always did it. And now I'll take that back to Phil Jafarian and Pat Hedges' days of, we used to have monumental art. And sometimes it became hit and miss. But Planning Commission heard the hotel at 3rd and Hamner this last meeting, and in their conditions, there wasn't any monumental art. And so I'm hoping that something can be incorporated with their signage, since signage is a separate permit on that. And along with that, back again with planning, on all our hotels, we had asked for, in parking, to have horse and trailer parking. Trucks and trailers, okay? Horse trailers. And I don't believe that's ever been a resolution either. It's been a recommendation. So once again, staff, Planning Commission come forward with a recommendation that on hotels that it has truck and horse trailer parking. And then back on the hotel at 3rd and Hamner, Planning Commission did catch that they had a couple, but they referred it to as carriage parking. So I think that was cleared up. So do you need a consensus from council on that? Items.
I think we have direction to bring it back through Planning Commission.
Greg, you okay with it?
Mm-hmm.
Robin? Yes. Fia? Kevin, you're good? Okay. So with that, y'all have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the rain this weekend for the next couple of days. Thank you very much. We're adjourned.